It was in Hebron that David was anointed king over Judah and then over all Israel. Here were the beginnings of Israel's greatest royal dynasty. Hebron was the source. In time, Jerusalem would become the throne. Historians and archaeologists believe that the remains of the kingdom of David are here on the windswept heights of Crusader Hill, where 4,000-year-old Canaanite ruins are a window onto the past. For Uri Karzan and his family, another American Jew who has returned to his roots, Crusader Hill is a living history lesson and link with his ancestors. Although Jewish life in the Holy Land was temporarily disrupted by the Babylonian exile and the bondage in Egypt, Jews managed to return and resettle the city. Every would-be conqueror met with fierce opposition on the part of its Jewish defenders. After the return in the days of Ezra and Nehemiah, Jews settled in Kiryat Arba, although they were soon forced to retreat under Edomite pressure. Hebron was liberated in the Maccabean revolt under John Hyrcanos. The city was the scene of the Maccabean battles under Judah the Maccabee and headquarters of the famous Bar Kokhba revolt when it was nearly burned to the ground and Bar Kokhba's warriors sold into Roman slavery at Elone Mamre, the Oaks of Mamre. Then came and went the Romans, Byzantines, Crusaders, Mamelukes, and Arabs. Yet throughout the centuries, pockets of Jewish life remained. When the bitter Roman conquest of 70 AD terminated Jewish independence in the land of Israel, Hebron's Jewish community persisted. When the Arabs conquered the Holy Land in 638 AD, they found the Hebron Hills densely populated with Jewish settlements. One such settlement was Susia, whose majestic remains stand to this day on the South Hebron Mountains in silent testimony to the grandeur of ancient Israel. The architectural beauty of its synagogue, mosaics, and living areas weave a rich tapestry of bygone Jewish life, which flourished here as early as the 2nd century, linking Jews with the land during the centuries of exile. For more than 400 years, the Hebron Jewish community persevered as one of the 4 holy cities in Israel. During the Middle Ages, its scholars and physicians were renowned and widely quoted abroad. In 1540, Rabbi Malkiel Ashkenazi established a large Jewish quarter and constructed the Avraham Avinu Synagogue, a classic example of simplicity and beauty in the heart of the Jewish quarter. Finally, the long caravan of history brought modern Christian pilgrims, secular Jewish settlers, and in 1917, the victorious British Army and their subsequent partition of Palestine. A key feature of life in Hebron was the natural coexistence of Jews and Arabs, which had prevailed for centuries, and who jointly benefited from this shared communal life. This was to end in the 1920s as rampaging Arab nationalism caught the Jews of Hebron in its fiery grip, culminating in the gruesome riots of 1929.
In 1929, most of the Jewish community was destroyed. 69 Jews were killed in the massacre. The synagogue itself turned into a public toilet, a sheep and goat pen. The Torah scrolls were burned, except for these 2.
The victims included young and old, scholars, rabbis, and secular Jews, many cruelly mutilated, women, children, the doctors and nurses of Hadassah House. In addition to the dead, more than 300 were seriously wounded. The British had done nothing to avert the attack. A few Jews tried to remain in Hebron, but a further attack in 1936 caused the remnant to flee, thus ending nearly 4,000 years of continuous Jewish life in Hebron. They would not return for another generation. In Israel's War of Independence in 1948, Hebron and the rest of Judea and Samaria, including East Jerusalem, are captured and annexed by the Jordanians in 1950. Jews are barred by King Hussein from living in Hebron, and for the next 18 years, Hebron is Judenrein. The ancient Jewish cemetery is plowed under and turned into a vegetable patch.